Hello everyone, it's Julie from Camelia Crafts Designs. Welcome and welcome back. What we're doing today? Well, we're going to be making a junk journal. I'm going to show you how I make the cover for this. It's not finished yet because you're going to watch me finish it. It's a soft cover junk journal. I say soft cover. It has got cardstock between two layers of fabric just to strengthen it. I think it's the easiest kind of cover to make. I don't like using glue to make mine, or Mod Podge, or anything sticky and yucky like that. I like to use this stuff, Heat and Bond. So I will be showing you how I do that today. If you don't know what Heat and Bond is, you may do if you're a seamstress. It's just basically a double-sided adhesive that comes on these sheets. Yeah, and you iron it on. Yeah, so it's heat activated. Right, so that's your Heat and Bond. If you want any, everything's listed on my Amazon storefront, and I will put the separate listings in my description to each item. Right, so if you've watched me before, you'll know I'm mass making a load of journals. I just need to get using up some of my stash. So this first batch of 6 are going to be slightly Edith Holden themed. If you're not sure who Edith Holden is, she's the lady who... well, she didn't write it herself. I think she'd passed away long before this book came out. But Edith Holden was a watercolour artist and a writer, I suppose. And she documented the nature around her. Plants, flowers, animals. Let's find a nice page. Oh, look at that one. That's absolutely gorgeous, isn't it? Yeah? And a lot of junk journalers love to use this book because you can use every last scrap of it. How gorgeous is that? This is her own handwriting that has been, yeah, it's a facsimile of her own handwriting. The book is artificially aged, but it is still nearly 50 years old. 1977 this came out. I will show you a little bit more of the book later on for anyone who's not seen it. The links again will be in the description. I know it can be quite expensive in some other parts of the world, but if you're in the UK, yeah, you should be able to get it no problem. Some of you in the US may have got some stashed away that they're hoarding. Get it out, get it used. Now the cover is some vintage Edith Holden fabric. I'm making a batch of 6 single signature journals. I've got 2 in that honeysuckle pattern. Yep, like so. Then I have got 2 in that pattern. Is that, I don't know what that one's called. Is that lilies? Yeah, it could be. And then this one, which is the dog rose, I think. Yeah, 2 in that. But we'll be doing the second one of those today. Now I have stitched around these. You don't have to stitch around. I'll show you what to do. Even if you're using the Heat and Bond, yeah, I'll show you how to do it if you don't want to stitch. So you don't have to have a sewing machine. It's, the choice is yours. Right, I'll put those to one side, back with that book. So, the basis for this cover, I'll open it out. I don't know why I'm sticking H's on where they don't belong. See, it is just quite simple. So, I started off with this piece of cardstock. As you can see, my cardstock is just slightly smaller than the fabric. I'm going to start with bigger pieces of fabric because I won't like to have to, I can't line this one up now, can I? So we've got the cardstock. I'm using 12.5 inches by 8.5 inches because that's the perfect size for my paper. I'm in the UK, so I use A4 paper, which is it 8 1/4 by 11 3/4, I think, yeah, something like that, or 11.5. I'm not even sure how big it is, but my cardstock's 12.5 by 8 1/4, but that just fits perfectly. I think it's 1/4 of an inch taller than my cardstock and 3/4 of an inch wider, something like that. Yeah, that's it. 3/4 of an inch wider, 1/4 of an inch taller, and it gives me that lovely, I'll fold that and show you. If that was inside, it gives me that lovely gap. Yeah, I've got room to put things on the edge of my pages without me hanging out too much, because I don't know what else. And as your journal gets fatter and this cover has to stretch, yeah, you need that little bit extra. That's the perfect size for me. If you were doing this from a full sheet of letter size over in the US, which is I believe 11 inches, I would go for 11 3/4, or just go the whole hog and use 12. Then you can use any old 12x12 cardstock you've got hanging about for these covers. You know, if you've got a nasty print you're never going to use, get it used. Just be careful though if you're using a thin fabric. Check your fabric. I'm using this here. Yeah, pop it on, just see what you can see through. If you can see the cardstock coming through, just go over it with some white gesso or even just some white acrylic paint or anything. I think emulsion would work. I think Tina from Shabby Dabby Doodah uses household emulsion. Anything you've got hanging around, that's the idea of junk journaling, isn't it? Or maybe it's got a pattern that you don't mind showing through. This is quite thick, this fabric. It is made for doing curtains and bedding and stuff, so it wouldn't be an issue. The only reason I've got white is because, yeah, I want that little bit of extra length just to cope with the paper size that we've got here in the UK. Right, put that back together before you lose it, woman. I've lost a page already. Anyway, enough waffling. Let's crack on with this cover. Right, so I've got my piece of cardstock. Now, I'm using this Heat and Bond. It comes on a long roll. I'll show you how long roll is. There you go, let's piece one together. That's how long roll is, 17 inches, yeah. It is designed, I don't know if it's designed for paper, but it's perfect for US market. What's your paper? 8.5 inches. Double that, you get 17, so cut it in half and yay, away you go. I've had to cut a little bit off because our paper's not quite as tall, it's only 8 1/4. I also want it slightly shorter than the height of my cardstock as well anyway, because I don't want glue going over edge. I don't want to have to put bits of baking paper down when I iron it on and all sorts. So if you look, yeah, I've cut it just slightly smaller than my paper. Don't ask me for exact measurements because as you can see, that's not exact. I don't measure it. What I do is I get my roll, I roll it out, I get to where I want to be, I fold it over, and I just cut it with my scissors. Yeah, it ends up being again about 1/4 to 1/2 inch shorter than my cardstocks. Yeah, that's all I can say. Use that method. You can make any journal any size like this. You don't need to know exact measurements. Right, so you apply this with an iron. I've got my little craft iron warming up. Yeah, well, that were a bit reflective for you. So all these things are going to be linked in my description. Even this, I've got this wool mat now that I iron on at my desk because I've warped and ruined far too many of these other mats, cutting mats. Yeah, and I really love it. It's really good. I find it easier to iron at my desk when I'm just doing this than get the big ironing board out. It's also better for your back if you've got back problems. So you get your piece of Heat and Bond. One side is a bit shiny and a bit bubbly. That's the side with the glue. So lay that down. Ooh, one more thing. I do fold my cardstock in half. Yeah, so I've got my crease for my spine. I find it easier then to find the centre once I've applied all the fabric and the glue. So pop that down. I've had my iron preheating all the time I've been waffling at you. So it's nice and hot. I think it says use a medium heat. I'll just use my little craft iron, hot as it goes. I just do. Maybe I'm a rebel, I don't know. And I'm going to pop it on and I'll just find once over. I might have got a wrinkle there because I'm not stood over it like I normally am. There you go. Now that's mostly stuck. I've got a few bits that aren't perfectly stuck, but it doesn't matter. As we attach the fabric, it will glue down. As long as I've got one corner stuck, so I can peel it up. I hope this is not too reflective because I'm doing it under light. Yeah. And then that's makes, you could make junk journal pages out of that. Use it as a mat under where you're gluing or painting or whatever. Right, you can see there that piece is not stuck. So you can see exactly what the Heat and Bond is. Yeah, it's just like, it's glue. You melt it with the iron. But that's not a problem. So I'm going to come in now with my fabric. this is my fabric I'm using. I ripped a piece off. It's actually a lot taller, so I'm going to have some scraps, but I don't mind. What I've done is I've torn along. You know, this fabric is old, it's vintage, it's been folded up a long time. Sometimes the deep creases in it don't come out, so I've just ripped along where they are. Yeah, and I've been left with this piece. So, tell you what, let's do this knot upside down. And now it also gives me a little bit of leeway in deciding what's going to be on my front cover. Yes, so that side's going to be my front cover. So, now if you're going to then put something else on front cover, it doesn't really matter. But I may leave them as they are. But I did promise to do some front cover decorating, so I will cover some of them up. I think I want the whole of that flower on, so I'm just going to bring that over a little bit. Yeah, so I've got the whole of that flower on. I want it at least 1/4 of an inch above my cardstock. So yeah, that's going to be good. If you're not too bothered about what's showing on your fabric, place your card on the other way around, like so. Yeah, put your fabric down, put your card on, glue side down, and then iron it on. Yeah, because I'm a little bit picky about where I want the print to be. That's why I've done it this way around. So alter it again. Put the whole of that flower on. I want to keep it relatively straight. I'm not being too picky. That bit I know that didn't glue all the way down. I just want to make sure that's straight. So that feels nice. I did pre-iron this bit actually, because it did have quite a lot of creases in. Now I'm going to come in with my iron. I'm going to plonk it down in the middle. And I'm going to go a little bit slower than I did when I was just ironing that heat and bond on to the card. So I was just ironing through the backing paper. Now the heat's got to pass through this fabric. But I'm keeping my iron moving because I don't want to burn or scorch my fabric. There we go. I love this cute little iron. I don't even know if can you put water in it? I think it can have water in. I never do put water in it though. You tend to find if you only rarely use water in an iron, it gets, yeah, it's a steam iron as well, but I'm never going to put water in. I don't want it spitting bits of rust out at me. I bet we've all had that happen, haven't we? A long time ago for me, because I don't iron clothes. I only iron craft supplies. Whee. So I'm just going to test now. Test my corners. That's still not down. I tend to not get my corners as well. Yeah, that's gluing. But again, this side has another chance when we put the fabric on the other side. Press down a little bit if you need to. There you go. That probably took longer than any I've done because I was talking and not taking notice of where I've been. So now I'm going to flip that over and I'm going to take my big chompy Tim Holtz scissors or whatever scissors you've got. I just use these for everything. It's been worth the weight in gold, they have. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to cut around about somewhere between a 1/16 and an 1/8 of an inch around. Ooh, I did that quite good. Normally I tilt this right up and look. I would normally go it like that up to my nose. So that's that piece. I'm going to do the same all the way around. Use pinking shears if you like that look. You know, the zigzaggy look. I prefer the straight look. I'm not measuring it because I'm not after perfection. I want it to look a little bit grungy. If you want to have a bigger border all the way around and fray it a lot more than I have, do that. You do you, as Mr. Timmy says. Right, I've got loads of these left for ruffles and clusters. I could pause and do this bit myself. That it really don't want to stick, does it? It's gonna. I don't know if growling helps. Growling may help the adhesive. I'm really not sure. That's better. Stuck now. Whee. Get rid of that string. So, ooh, a bit wobbly shaky there, aren't I? Ooh, yeah, thank you to everyone who's left me some lovely messages. Yeah, I'm still... Well, I think I'm well, but I said that last video, didn't I? I had flu just after Christmas, and it just left me wiped out. I get up, full of beans, raring to go, and it's like I'm running out of petrol halfway through the day. I'm running out of energy. And it's nap time. I've had a nap today. That's why I'm filming under electric light, rather than my daylight. I can see better in daylight. I remember my mum used to say that, and I was thinking, she's on about this silly woman. Can see better in daylight. Light's light. But yes, to the young, with our good eyesight, yeah, light is light. I think once you get past 40, everything just starts to break, doesn't it? unless you're a celebrity or a personal trainer. Or you've got good genes, or you work hard at it, yeah. Let's not put it all down to luck. Right, so that's that. So that is now my cover. Turn it that way around. I'm really happy with that. That's going to be up there, yeah. That's going to be beautiful. So next thing, get another piece of your heat and bond. I've got mine cut ready. The only reason I've got it cut ready is it really is my last two pieces. Well, yeah, I had. That will end it roll. There you go. That'll make some smaller journals, or you could piece it together. You really could. So now I'm going to put this one on. So I've got my little gap all the way around. And well, as would suggest, because you can attach fabric, you don't have trouble. Some people have trouble with the needle in the sewing machine sticking when they've used a heavy glue. You don't with this, it's brilliant. But I never have trouble sewing through PVA glue, me. I don't know why, I just don't. Right, so yeah, that went on a little bit better, didn't it? Right, we'll peel this one off. I do like to do my patterned front cover first, because it's hard to see if you've got any bubbles where it's not glued properly. Now I've got my piece of linen. I'm just going to give this a little iron first, because yeah, it's been... I don't think I've ironed this. No, I haven't. Not since I cut it. Whee. Oh, that crease has come out quite well. Of course, this is not a vintage fabric that's been folded up for 30 years. I think it came out in 80s, the Edith Holden fabric, if I'm not wrong. I probably am wrong. I'm wrong often. There we go. That'll be even easier. So, put this. That's your adhesive. Yeah, it's not sticky on this side until you actually heat it up. If you do leave your iron on it too long and it gets too hot when you put in that, yeah, when you're ironing it to cardstock, it will go too sticky and it could be difficult to get your backing off. Just be careful with that. So I can still see that crease slightly, so I'm just going to make sure that goes round about in the middle. I'm not going to measure it up to make sure it's exact. I can see where my edge is. I could, if I wanted to save some fabric, try and line one edge up, but I don't think any of these edges are straight enough. You know, to save me having to cut one, I don't think any are straight enough. And I want that crease down my centre crease. So, here we go. Right, let's go with this one. So I'll go over it until I think it's done. Whee. I mean, I know I could have fast forwarded this or not shown it all, but then you'd miss out on my dulcet tones waffling away at you, wouldn't you? Yeah, you love it. Some don't, bye. Right, now, if I pick it up, you can see bubbles where it's not quite stuck. So I'm going to go in again and iron that down. You tend to be able to see it when your fabric's plain. I can't see it when fabric's patterned. Some of you may be able to. I just can't. Gee, press a little bit as well as just... I just like glide it around me and don't press. Yeah, there's a reason they call ironing pressing, isn't there? I'm too lazy to iron, see. I forget to press. Whee. You can tell I'm not an ironing expert. And I've still got one little bubble there. Yeah, everything else seems stuck. Oh, little bubble there. Go on, press, woman. Have you got your iron turned up? Yeah, it's plugged in. Yeah, just checking. Don't know, it seems to be taking a bit longer to stick than it did this afternoon. And yesterday when I made others. Press more. Maybe I'm just tired now. Could be. Any bubbles? Still got that one bubble there. Go away, bubble. Can you tell I'm getting really fed up with that bubble now? Go away. We don't want an iron mark. That's it. It's gone. I think that's all pressed all the way around now. That's looking good. What's my edges like? Yeah. A little bit more. Just go on corners a little bit, woman. And then next thing will be to trim around it. Whee. So it is very easy, isn't it? It could not be easier. Now flip it over and I can see exactly where I need to cut. Reason 26 that I like to stick the front on. If you wanted for a layered look, you could have that sticking out. You could cut it, can you see? Like so. So you'd have a layered look with that fabric showing. But I don't want that. Just to be awkward. This is hard. In the day, I just lifted this up to my window and I could see where the edge was a lot easier. Now I do have a light board, but I'm not going to get it just for doing this one. If you have a light board, and I'll not stick, which I've done before, put lighting on my phone underneath and it shows through, because that'll just be straight in your eyes, blinding you. I'll have to put a warning about bright lights and flashing lights at once. So I'm just trimming around. I'm not being perfect. It's a junk journal. I like to make sure it's not going to come unstuck, but I'm not too bothered if some of my cutting's a little bit wonky. If I wanted it perfectly straight, I'd get my ruler out and my rotary trimmer. But no, I like this hand cut look. Also, I'm a bit of a nightmare with rotary trimmer. I might be doing next video with 9 fingers. I've already burnt my arm on iron, only slightly. It's not to write home about. I'm not going to need medical attention. Whee, whoops. That were getting a bit too sloppy there. There's don't want it perfect, and then there's just cutting it like a 3-year-old. Although 3-year-olds really shouldn't be left alone with scissors. Right, and I'm just going to give that one last quick press. And I'm quite happy with that. Now, right, I'll show you. It's going to be hard to see because I've done it in cream. You can see it better on that side. I've just sewn around the edge and I've gone wonky. I've just let my sewing machine do its own thing. Yeah, it likes to go wonky if I'm not holding it. And I've gone around 3 times on a very long stitch, the biggest stitch it does. Because what I don't want to do is create perforations and have edge of my journal fall apart. Now, even though I've sewn that, what I have also done on the corners, you can't peel that apart because I have just popped a little bit of glue on each corner. I'm going to move my wool ironing mat before I start doing glue because I don't want to get glue on it. That'll be nasty. Right, so, just pull that up. I'm using art glitter glue, use PVA, use whatever. But I've got this in a nice fine point. Now if you don't want to sew at all, what I suggest you do is all the way along, because we didn't put the heat and bond right to the very edge. The edge of it never wants to stick really good. Am I even off on camera doing this bit, or am I off camera? I don't know. There's glue coming out. Just put a little bead of glue. You don't have to put a lot. You could then, if you wanted to, go around and hand stitch it. So if you didn't want to stitch these at all, that is all you have to do. And it's not going to come apart. Do it on both sides. Just on the edge. Yeah, if the glue does make a mark, it'll just look like the edge of the cardboard. And then it's not going to come apart for you. I'm just going to go around and glue in my 4 corners. 1, 2, because even when I've stitched, I don't want... You could round your corners if you wanted, but I've done that before and then I find they don't protect the corners in your book as well. So I tend to like to leave them square these days. I might change my mind. In another video next year I might say round your corners. Yeah, only numpties don't round the corners. And I'd be calling myself one, wouldn't I? Yeah. Oh, thank you to everyone who put suggestions in comments as well as to other papers that you could use in junk journals, because my last video I did a list of, I think it ended up, I can't remember how many it ended up being. I know it started off as a list of 40 and ended up being a list of 70, 60 odd. But with all your suggestions, it's gone up to about 80. So I'll retype that one at some point and pop it on my Buy Me a Coffee page. Right, so that's that. Now, as if by magic, I'm going to pretend I've took mine to the sewing machine and sewn all around it. Voila! There you go. Because I have that one. I can't sew on camera. Oh, yeah, it is different, the front. But it is the same fabric, that one. So let's swap for that one that's been sewn. Like I say, you don't have to sew. I just like the look of it. Did I use a different linen on that one? No, it's the same. So that's that. Ta-da! Now I'm going to bring my junk journal signature back in. This one goes better with this fabric, I think. Yeah, because we've got that rose. Yeah, so there we go. Now's the time to decide, well, you could have decided before and put it under paper, how you're going to close this journal. My favourite with journals is quite often just to wrap something around it. Or another way you can close these, I'll show you on this 3 signature one. Oops, dingle dangle. Yeah, I've just popped an eyelet in and threaded. Craft-a-lanche again. I'm just chucking my bobbins all over it and just threaded some, what is it? Seam binding through, yeah. That's one, very simply decorated. And if I were to decorate the front of these, I think that is the kind of decoration I would use. So, I'm just going to turn my iron off, tidy up. I'll be back with you in 2 minutes. And I'm back. So, I've decided, even though that is gorgeous, I'm going to put a cover topper on, because I have promised to show how I decorate covers on my journals. So, I'm going to do it quite similar to this one. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my eyelets in. I will fasten these with eyelets, I think, rather than seam binding the whole way around. And the reason I'm going to put my eyelets on first is so that I know where my topper's going to be placed. So I'm going to grab the eyelets, which I've moved to the side at the craft room just to be awkward. Here we go. There we go. They're the We Are Memory Capers wide eyelets. Yeah, I think they look really nice on junk journals, on the covers. I'm going to find one in a colour that I think goes. Very tempted just to go for the grey so it doesn't stand out too much. Maybe that pale grey. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for the pale grey on this one. I think it goes well with those leaves. Yeah. Grab 2 pale. Oh, is that even paler or is that same colour? That's same colour. So I'm going to pop those on using my crocodile. So I've got the crocodile. Right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to punch through both at once. The crocodile will do it. That is folded over nicely. That way I know that I'm going to have, one's not going to be lower and one's not going to be higher. Because when you tie it, it could send your journal off a little bit. So fold that over as it wants to. I'm going to use the large hole and lock it first, woman. I'm going to go in a little bit further than that because I don't want to punch through my stitching. About there, I think. Yeah, that looks good. It can go out a little bit. There we go. So it goes through, that's 2 thicknesses of card and 4 thicknesses of fabric. It does that pretty easy. So I'll pop that one in and set it. So you don't have to do this bit. You could glue a piece of ribbon, seam binding or whatever on around your journal. I should have mentioned you could, it will make it bumpy if you try and put it under the fabric when you're using this heat and bond. Pop that one on back. Also, it doesn't matter if I've not got it quite in the middle. No measuring to do. We know they're both exact. Yeah. So, I've decided I'm going to decorate the front by using one of these Edith Holden postcards. I picked these up off eBay. I don't buy things like this when I want things like this. I buy them when they're cheap. Yeah, so I didn't pay a lot for these. Now, I did butcher a set of these once, trying to take them apart and get the staples out, but the staples are so thick. Let me just give you a little flick through of these. Yeah, there's some beautiful images. Ooh, look at that one. Not for that. I'm looking for one that's going to look good. It's really hard to show you these while they're in book. No, not that one. Not that one. Not that one. Ooh, I mean, they're going to be a little bit samey as the cover, but I'm going to back the postcard with some layers of paper, and as you can see, I've got that green fabric out that I used on my other journal. No. Oh, I hope I can find one that I'm going to like. Ooh, watch me out. Oh, that's nice. I think I've got that. I'm going to take that out. So yeah, I've decided the best way to take these out is to tear them out singly. Like you would if you were tearing it out to use it. Please don't make a mess. Yeah, there we go. So that's a contender. What else we got? I don't want thistles on. Ooh. Don't know whether that one will go with this. That might look good on the honeysuckle pattern. The first one that I showed you that I'd already made up. Oh, that's pretty. I'm going to need 6 altogether, aren't I? Might have to trim them down a little bit so they fit better. Oh, that one looks good. I mean, you can use the others as journal cards. If you're not keen on making them a centrepiece or a focal point, just use them as journal cards. So I've grabbed a few out there to work with. Now let's have a look. I'm going to back the card with some of that green fabric. So I'm just going to lay the fabric on and see what that then looks like. Yeah, because I've got the fabric, anyone would do, wouldn't it, really? Yeah, I could zoom in now as well. Now I'm not doing this, not doing the cover. Yeah, they all go, don't they? Once we've put that fabric between cover and that. I think I'm going to use that one because I've got that page in the journal. I don't know if that makes sense, but it does to me. Now I'm also going to trim that down a little bit. So grab my paper trimmer. So it'd be the same principle even if you weren't using Edith Holden. Like that other journal I showed you, I just used a rose image. So I'm going to chop that down. I'm going to take a little bit off each edge. There we go. I don't know if I want any off the top. I quite like that zigzaggy. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave the top. Yeah, that's better. Then I've got room to do a little bit of layering. I think I might just take a smidgen more off each edge so I've got even more room. I don't want to cut that flower off though. That still looks good. Yeah, we like that. So what I tend to do is I look at the size of my journal that I've got, because I've had a few questions on how to layer, and I think I picked this up off a lady called Yvonne Preston. I mean, I'm not going to decorate it anything like she does hers, but that's going to be my focal point. I then want something, I'm going to use a bit of music paper. Let me grab some. No, I'll use a bit of this handmade paper. Yeah. Cut something the maximum size it can be to fit on the front of my journal, if you know what I mean. Grab the paper trimmer again. So, I'm just going to cut that down to make a straight edge, because this was taken apart from a photo album and it's very wonky. Oh, it's very thin in places as well. I don't want to tear it though, I'm just going to cut it. I've had to cut some off so it fits in my trimmer. Right, so we've got a straight edge top and bottom. Can you see how wonky donkey it is? Those scraps will come in handy for other things. Right, so... Oh, I like how you can see the fabric through that. Oh, that's really nice. It's even thinner there, isn't it? So yeah, I'm going to cut this thick curved bit off. I know my journal is 5 3/4 inches wide, so I'm going to cut that down to 5. And it just seems like I'm just taking bits off this. Oh yeah, I like that. And height wise, I'm going to take it down to around there. So that's about 7 inches. So again, I know my journal's 8 1/4 inches tall. So yeah, pop that on. Then I want a piece of fabric between that and my postcard. So let's grab this. Stop holding it. Move the book now, you know how big that is, woman. Yeah, I did literally pick this up in a charity shop. I don't know, it's just cotton. I like the salvage edge as well. I think I might have that at the bottom. So, I want it to be not quite as big. Oh, cut through salvage edge, woman, then it's going to be easier to rip. Then I'm going to rip it, because I like that torn edge look. Yeah, I'll rip it about there. So I'll snip and rip. Snip and rip. Put the rest away. So that is going to be on there. I don't know whether it's got Katie cornered or lined up. So that's that. Grab my postcard. Oh, I sent it a little bit wonky picking it up, didn't I? So, I like that. That is that. Now, that is the simplest cover you could ever do. Now, if you want, you can start tucking other little bits in, like I could tuck a ticket in, or I think I do want some music paper somewhere on that. Let me find... I've ripped that much music paper up. I'm going to have to take a new sheet out of my book. Yeah, music for the home. I grabbed these on eBay. I pay about £10 for them. I think this is the third one I've ever bought. I used to put them in my... I used to sell packs of book pages on eBay. And it's nice to have some music paper in. The only thing I find sometimes when you buy these, they're just filthy. I don't know what people were doing with them. Maybe they were in coal-fired homes. It's not even that they smell smoky. Use a different pair of scissors, woman, because that's just stupid using them, isn't it? So, I know I could have ripped one out, but I don't like it. I like to snip the string. I'm doing it away from myself. All these people are worried about me cutting myself, because I do. I can be a nightmare. There you go. And then I can pull that one out. Oh, I like that one. I don't like that. It's too black and it's too, yeah, too bold. But the one on the back is good. So yeah, we've got that. And I think I want this torn. And I'm going to want this a little bit smaller than that. So, yeah, that's the one I want. So I'm going to come in. I'm going to grab my ruler. Just going to put that upside down. And I'm going to tear it. I want it a bit smaller, so go in a bit. You can tell it's old when it tears that easily, can't you? I'm going to tear the white bit off. I'm just using the lines on the music paper to line that up. Again, I'm not measuring, I'm just messing and ripping. Using that as my guide. That looks straight enough. Well, that'll look lovely in a page edge with all those treble clefs. And again, use the lines of the music paper to do that. So we've got that. I don't know. That underneath the fabric. I've just... oh, there we go. I may as well have just torn some little bits and put them underneath. Hunter. Do you know what? I don't want to waste that huge piece of music paper. Maybe if I have it... fabric there. The music paper there. No, because I like the contrast of the postcard being on the fabric. Maybe I should have used my fabric as my guide for tearing that. Do you think that would have made more sense, woman? Yeah, I think it would, wouldn't it? Let's go again with that tearing. So, music, where did I put that other sheet of music paper? Here it is. Oh, that's all very bold. But to be honest, when we're only going to see edges, I can live with it being bold. So this time I'm going to use my fabric as my base for tearing. Yeah. I'm not too worried about not saving this sheet. Because like I say, it's too bold to see the whole thing. But that is a good thing when we're just seeing a little bit around edge, isn't it? Tear it there. Oh, that does tear easy. Tear down there. I've just... somebody's going to be saying, look at all that music paper she's torn up. I like how that's not quite perfect. So I'm going to do the same across the top. It wouldn't have torn down as easy, it just wouldn't. Something to do with grain at paper, isn't it? Right. Let's have a look-see. We can have the fabric a little bit Katie-cornered. Have the postcard straight. And then we can have that a little bit. Right, try that. See how that looks. Oh yeah, I like that. I like that. So that is how I will do it. Now, if you want to sew any of the edges, you can. If you want to glue them, you can. I think do I want to sew them? I do want to sew them because I've got the edge of the book sewn. So I'm going to pop off 2 seconds and I'm going to sew around that, and I'm going to sew around the edge of the postcard, and I'll be back with you. And I'm back. I've done the sewing. I trimmed that down a little bit more, just a smidgen. Cut those tails off. I've not sewn perfect, but I've not gone as wonky as I did around the edges of the journal. Oops. You'll notice I'm not inking on these either. Yeah, I'm not in an inky mood. I've just said that, and I may ink edge a music paper. Right. So that's going to be my very back piece, isn't it? There we go. Then we're going to have the music paper. So we're not even going to see half of that inking, are we? I can see me tearing fabric down again in a minute. Oh, I do like that actually. I know we can only see. I'm going to move it over so we see a bit more sewing. I quite like that. Now, at one time of day, you'd never see me put anything that weren't perfectly laid up on a journal. Oh, we've got a little bit of something on there. Yeah, I'm gonna put it a little bit higher up, and then I'm going to do exactly what I did on my other one. I'm going to put a cluster on one corner. I really like that now. Yeah, so without further ado, what I would normally do now is take a photo to make sure I didn't move it, but I'll glue it front layer to back. Normally I will glue it back layer to front, so I'm just going to come in. I am using art glitter glue. I use that on fabric all the time. Just want quite a bit around edge where I've got the stitching. They're quite thick, these postcards, so it can take quite a bit of glue. Is that about where I had it before? I'm not sure. But that's where I've got it now, isn't it? Then I'm going to peel up my fabric layer. Because if the glue's gone through, it'll have started to stick, which it has a bit. Which is not a problem. And I'm only going to put glue within the confines of the actual postcard. And I'm going to put a little, as if by magic, slight mishap there. I'd run out of memory. Right, all you missed me doing were finishing gluing that. I finished gluing it, and then I chucked it under my mat to stay flat. I'm going to put it back again. And then I made a cluster for front. Now, I will link a video in which I make these clusters. I've just layered a few bits of fabric, just the offcuts from when I made the journal. Yeah, a bit of that. I've put a little bit of hessian, a little bit of lace, and I've just chosen a button. Let's get that back out now. Today, let's pretend we didn't get cut off. It's not an Edith Holden button, but I chose a button that's got the colours from the topper. So that's going to go there, and that is going to go there, and that is it. I may at some point put, I don't think I need to put the word journal on, it just doesn't need it, does it? Don't need a word, it just needs that topper and that cluster, and that's it. So pop the signature back in, and yeah, I won't be binding it yet because I've not decided if I want to do any sewing or anything on page edges yet. But again, I've got plenty of videos where I do binding, but I will show you this one when I get to it. But that is it for today. I'm ever so sorry, you didn't miss anything, did you? I just checked when I saw I come to end of video, said goodbye, realised that, oh no, I'm not even recording. I'm like, oh no, I hope I've not missed half of this video out. And I realised I was just gluing these last two together when it cut out. So it cut out suddenly, but here I am. So I just came back to say goodbye, really. Yeah, and I'm really bad at ending videos. Yeah, other people have things they say at the end. I just waffle and all of a sudden go, yeah, bye, I'm going. So, yeah, bye, I'm going. And I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye.